stop video, and there is a little arrow to the right of it. Do you see that arrow to the right of it?
Yes,
All right, click that arrow.
I did.
Now, when it says choose virtual background, click that button.
Says meeting is streaming live now. Is that correct?
I got it.
Go.
Oh, better.
City Hall.
Thank you
All
very
right.
much.
We're also recording.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, Mary, you ready to call the meeting to order?
Yes, sir. I'm ready when everyone else is.
Mr.
This
Lee, looks a lot
meeting of
better
the
now.
Good, thank you.
This meeting of the Westmoreland City Council will be called to order. It's April the 16th, 2020, and the official time is 4:04 p.m. This is a virtual meeting, and as the Comptroller's Office gave us the guidelines for our last meeting, in accordance with the Governor's Executive Order number 16, we will be following those guidelines. And the City Council has determined that this is a meeting that virtually. And I might add that because we have
Listen to
all
this.
the time from resolution.
Everything's got an echo. Do you know how to?
2020-1. This is actually acting as a special called meeting because the 7 p.m. meeting was canceled and rescheduled. So with that, everything that is on the agenda will stay on the agenda. We will not do any additions or deletions from the agenda from the way it's read. So with the meeting being called to order, if you would bow with me, please. Father in heaven, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, that your mighty hand is upon us and on our community, as well as all the world. Father, we just ask you to look down upon us, have mercy on us, and Lord, all of it is happening in this world that you just guided and directed as to what would be your will. Be with this council tonight as we do this virtual meeting. And Father, we ask you to be with all of our employees and everyone who is working diligently to help fight this coronavirus. And we pray that there will be a good outcome and that it will come shortly, Lord. We praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. David, do you have your flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, thank you.
I think everyone's pretty much has theirs muted unless they're going to talk. Ms. Keisha, if you will call the roll, please.
Doug Brown,
Here.
Tony Bennell,
Here.
Frida Carter,
Here.
David Leaf,
Here.
Jerry Kirkman,
Here.
Chandra Wilkerson.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all council members are present. We have a quorum and we can continue with the meeting. The next item is to adopt the agenda. And as I said, it is pretty well set. I have not received any calls of any public comments to come in. Ms. Keisha, have you received any?
No, I have not.
Thank you. The first item we will be voting on will be the minutes of the April 2nd, 2020 rescheduled virtual meeting.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt the minutes from the Westmoreland regular city council meeting on April 2nd, 2020.
I'll second that motion.
If I'm correct, Councilman Brown made the motion and Councilman Leaf made the second to adopt the minutes. Any discussion?
I'd like to add something or possibly add something where the first line, where it says Westmoreland City Council met on Thursday, April the 2nd, 2020 via Zoom virtual meeting. Can we add a clause there that says due to the executive order 16 under the governor's executive order or something to that nature, so that for archives purposes? Because I can only imagine that there'll be more Zoom meetings and maybe even Zoom meetings for different reasons in the future. So I would just like to, for archive purposes, I'd like to change, add something to that, to the fact that why we actually had to have a Zoom meeting.
Okay.
Also, on the last page, Keisha, under the tornado siren program, which that was a little confusing anyway. I think you need to state it, instead of to use the old equipment, it was for us to allow Comtech to have that old console in lieu of payment for programming the siren.
Okay.
We needed to state somewhere that we were giving him that equipment because it did belong to the city.
All right, I'll get that changed.
Okay, if you've had time to get all those changes made, if there's no other discussion, you.
Well,
can-
I got one quick. So we got a new console, is that right? We gave him the old one and we got a new one.
Whatever he sets up to program the siren.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Is Chief Ladd on with us also, Mayor?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm pretty sure that's exactly how it went, because that's what the emails had said that he sent to Chief Ladd.
Yes, ma'am, I'm in agreement with that.
Okay.
Ms. Keisha, if you'll call the roll.
Bennell,
Can I just give a thumbs up? Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Leaf,
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. The next item is the March 2020 financial statement.
I make a motion to accept the March 2020 financial statement as presented.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilwoman Carter, a second by Councilwoman Wilkerson. We are open for discussion. Okay, hearing none, we'll call for the vote.
Leaf,
Yes.
Bennell,
Yes.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Under old business, we have second reading of ordinance 042020-1, the planning commission fee amendment. I might add, before a motion comes up on that, we've had first reading, so this will actually be the second reading. And Mr. Bradley, if you would agree with me on this, I have two additions that I think need to be added in. We have the other items from the original, which included items like a sketch plat, preliminary plats, final plats, PUDs, and other things. Do you feel like that needs to be added into this ordinance so we have it all into one document? John, are you muted?
I believe he's gone to get a Coke.
Oh, okay.
Now, what was your question again? I was writing some notes.
Oh, okay. On the ordinance for the fee amendment for planning and zoning, do you agree that we need to take the original document items and put in this so we have it all into one document? Items such as sketch plat, preliminary plat, finals, and things like, get it all in one document.
That would make more sense to amend this ordinance to include all of those things.
Okay, we'll make sure that gets included in. And also,
Need a motion to amend. This is second reading, so there needs to be a motion to amend to do that.
okay. I have one other item also that says that we probably need to change it, be it resolved to be it ordained minutes and ordinance. So I'll wait for a motion on those and we'll move forward.
I make a motion to pass ordinance 042020-1 on second reading. I make a motion to amend it, I'm sorry, to add the items that the mayor was speaking of. And Keisha, I'm sure you'll get those.
I'll second the motion.
Have a motion by Councilwoman Carter and a second by Councilman Bendel to amend on second reading ordinance number 042020-1, the planning commission fee amendments to the ordinance. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none, Ms. Keisha?
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Fennel,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Leith.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. We will move now to new business, and the first item on the agenda is for the Public Works Employees Due Process Hearing and the action on that hearing. Mr. Bradley, we'll let you take the floor at this time.
Well, under the rules and procedures that you have in place now, the council is given the authority to take disciplinary action. Department head has the authority to, or the mayor has the authority to remove someone from the job until there's such a hearing before the council. That's what today is. And we've got these two employees are both in the waiting room. They're not on right now. And I thought that we might have a report from their department head. It's whatever order you want to go in. It's however you want to do it, because we've not really ever done this before. In the past, it was always a hearing with the mayor and then an appeal to the council. So it's how you want to go forward with it. It might be best to bring them both into the room now and let Aaron, Mr. Sizemore, give his report and what his recommendations are, and then let them give their side of the story and answer any questions you might have for them. Because this is your hearing. You're the ones, the five of you are the ones making the decision on what punishment. These two employees have been on leave without pay for 2 weeks. And of course, depending on what you do now, that determines what happens to them in the future. Before we bring them in, do you have any questions?
You said without pay?
So they've been served. They've been on administrative leave with pay. I'm sorry. They've
Okay.
been on administrative because under those rules and procedures, only the council can decide to take away pay. So that's why we did it that way, just to avoid, and also to be consistent with what we've done in the past, if you recall, with another employee a few months ago. So if you want me to just let the other two join the meeting, because I think they should certainly be able to hear what Mr. Sizemore's recommendations are. Or you might want to hear from them first.
No, I'd rather hear from the supervisor first.
Okay, well, let me let the two employees into the room. I see we've got one of them. There's the other one. Okay. All right, Mr. Sizemore, it's up to you.
Okay, can you hear me? I don't know where you want me to start exactly. You want me to just tell what?
Well, these two employees have been placed on leave with pay while you did your investigation of the incident that happened a couple of weeks ago there in Westmoreland.
Yes, sir.
And I know you were sort of a witness to part of it because you were talking to one of them during the thing that happened. And
Yes, sir.
so probably the best thing for you to do is just tell what your investigation has shown and what your recommendations are. But also, before the council takes any action, we're going to each employee tell their side of the story or anything else they want to share with the council. And then if the council has any questions for them, they can ask. And of course, if they have questions for you. But I think first it would be good for you to give what your investigation revealed to the best of your knowledge.
Okay. After talking with Billy, which was really the only other person out there at the time, was that TJ had kind of lost his temper a little bit, and that they had exchanged a few words. At that time is when I came out, and then we left. And I mean, other than that, it was hard to really figure anything out as far as, because it's just one person's word against the other.
Mr.
Now-
Sizemore, if you would, I think you need to give them a little bit more in the way of background. If you would, tell them what happened. I mean, your investigation showed there
Okay.
was some equipment thrown and there were some words
sir.
exchanged and there were tell what you found out. You know, there's a lot
Okay.
more to the
Yes, sir.
story.
Yes, sir. I'm sorry. Well, they were working on the trailer. He was running a drill, trying to drill down into a piece of metal to go through to hold some 2x8s down onto the trailer. The drill bit hung, and he, instead of backing the drill bit up, I guess he was frustrated, and he snatched it up. And when he did, the drill bit hung, and that's when he threw it down on the trailer. And Billy said, "Don't do that because we don't want to tear up our equipment." I guess TJ was upset at the time and said, "If you want, you can do a better job. You come over here and do it." And Billy told him to get out of the way, that he would do it. And so he stepped toward him, and JR stepped in between them. Well, then I came out of the shop, and I told Billy to let's go because I was going to turn some paperwork in up here at City Hall. He got in the truck, and he told me that he was too old to listen to all this crap and to take smart mouth from some young kid. And so at that time, I didn't see him talking to TJ or anything. So I assumed that he was talking about JR. So I proceeded to leave. When we got out onto the road, I talked to Billy, and I was like, so what did JR do now? As just kind of, trying to figure out what was going on. And he said it wasn't JR, and he said it's TJ that he had the words with. So we proceeded to drive down Epperson Springs Road, and he was telling me kind of what went on, pretty much just what I told y'all. And we had just before we got to Bledsoe Street on Epperson Springs, JR called. Billy put it on speakerphone, and so we could both talk. And he said, "You need to get back here. I'm fixing to kill him if he comes at me again." Well, then we said, "Well, we're turning around." And then I heard JR say, "You need to get away from me or I'm going to hit you with this shovel." We were still coming around, and he was still on speakerphone. And then the next thing he said, don't come at me again. And then I sounded like he dropped the phone. About that time, we were pulling up to Rose Street, and we were coming down Rose Street, and I could kind of see over at the shop, and I seen TJ's car backing out, and then I seen JR standing over by the trailer, and he was taking his coat off at that time. We pulled up to the gate. TJ pulled up, and beside of me, he come through the gate. He pulled up beside of me, and at that time, you know, everybody's adrenaline was still going and everything. And he had pointed up to me and he said, he hit me with a shovel. He's gone. And I was like, you know, I don't know what's going on. And he said he hit me with a shovel, and he said he's going to be fired. And I said, well, you need to go to City Hall and wait on me to get there. So he left. I pulled up there and I talked to JR. And I asked him straight off. That was the first question I asked him was, did you hit him with a shovel? And he said, no, I pushed him. Well, whenever I talked to him and I got his side of the story, he said, you know, that he was on the trailer, and that TJ had came up after him because he told him that he was going to hit him with that shovel if he didn't get away from him. And he had said that TJ came up at him. Well, at that time, he said that he shoved him, and when he shoved him, TJ fell, and then JR said that he slipped off the trailer himself. And then that TJ got up and was going toward his car, and JR threw the shovel in the back of the truck. And then that's about the time that I pulled up and seen TJ backing out, and that's when TJ had left. When I left there, I went to City Hall. As soon as I pulled up to City Hall, I got up to TJ's car, and his arm was very limp, his right arm, and he said, I think he broke my arm. And at that time, I called Keisha, and she is letting us in the back room into the mayor's office. And I said, you know, we got in the mayor's office when he said he thought his arm was broke. I said, would you just stay right here? And I said, let me go up here and talk to Keisha and get in touch with the mayor. And, you know, we had to figure out what was going on, how to exactly to handle it, because really none of us had ever been in that situation before. Jerry had called me back, and he said that I needed to call the police department to get a report on it. And that was the last time that I'd spoke to either one of them that day, as far as any questioning or anything like that. Whenever the police department came in, they got statements from both individuals, and we had sent Billy to get a drug test and sent JR to get a drug test, and then they did a drug test on TJ at the hospital. And that's all that I know right off.
Do any of the council people have any questions for Mr. Sizemore?
His injury, it was not a broken arm, was it?
No, ma'am.
What was the extent of his injury?
What I was told was a torn muscle.
Mr. Sizemore, the rule, does Westmoreland have a rule against fighting on at the workplace?
Not that I can. I mean, it speaks of it in the policy and procedures book. Sorry.
And isn't that listed as a grounds for termination?
Yes, sir, it is.
Okay. And of course, as we've discussed, so that everyone knows, I can't remember who was on and who wasn't. The council Under the city's policies and procedures, the council is the body that makes a determination as to any discipline up to and including termination. That's why we're here today with this hearing. It's unusual, of course, to have to do it by Zoom, but that's really about the only way we could do this. And it's the issue that needs to be resolved. Mr. Sizemore, which employee would you like to go first telling their story? It's kind of up to you.
I guess we need to hear from TJ, I think.
Okay. TJ, you've heard the things Mr. Sizemore said, and if you would just sort of tell the council your account of what happened, and if you disagree with anything that Mr. Sizemore said, you can say that you don't think that was accurate. This is your time to tell the council your side of the story. You have to unmute your microphone. We can't hear you. You have to unmute your microphone. Maybe I can do it.
All right, can y'all hear me now?
There you go. Now we got it.
All right, I figured it out. What happened was we was drilling like he said, on the trailer, me and JR, and the drill bit did get hung, and I did. I pulled it up, and I pitched it on the trailer. I said it's junk, and Billy said, "Well, you'll think junk when you gotta pay for it." I said, "Well, if I have to pay for it, so be it," And he said, "Well, if you don't think you can do it, move out of the way and let somebody else do it." I said, "Well, here you go," and I stepped out of the way. And Aaron come out. He went, got back out in the truck. When they left, which we come back over, and honestly, me and JR had words. I don't really tell you what they was. I don't know, because one, I got a lot more stuff going on than to worry about what happened 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago. But we had the words over, but I never once went towards him. When I turned to walk away from the argument is when I was hitting the shoulder and hitting the back. And therefore, I left. As I was pulling out, Aaron and Billy was coming back. JR did have them on, or he did call them and said something about get him away from me, I'll kill him or whatnot. And, tempers high, we're fussing. That's what happens. Everything was heat at the moment. And anywho, but I got hit. I turned, I did tell Aaron, I said, he hit me with that shovel. I said, he's gone. He hit me. He should be fired. And he said, well, go to City Hall. We'll figure this out. I went to City Hall. At that time, I was losing feeling in my right arm. And what had happened there is when I got to the hospital, they said it was some nerve damage, not damage, but brachial plex nerve was struck, which would cause my muscles and stuff to lose all thing. They said it'll come back. It may be an hour, it may be 3 weeks, and it is back. It's back to normal. All I got is just a little scar on my shoulder where the shovel struck me. And but anywho, I went to City Hall. Aaron come up there. I went in the back. I waited. They called EMS because I did at that time think my arm was broke because it was swelling, and I didn't have no feeling for it. I couldn't pick nothing up. I couldn't move it up. I couldn't elevate. I couldn't do nothing. It was just there. And so that's after that. Ambulance said I need to go to the hospital. Went to the hospital. They done the X-rays on it, made sure nothing was broken. I want to say a CAT scan or something like that. And 2 or 3 tests on me, and they sent me home.
One question that I have, and then the council people may have a question for you. You said that you heard him call Aaron and tell him that you needed to get away from him. But
Yes.
You said you never went toward him?
I never went toward him. I was going away from him.
So why would he have called Aaron and said that?
Because we was into it over the thing.
So he thought you might come at him.
Yeah, in the middle of me and him arguing over something, he called Aaron.
Anybody on the council have any questions?
But however, if he did, and now he could have failed and hit me with the shovel because there was wood on the trailer.
Okay.
I can't say he done it. I can't honestly say he done it, intentionally, because I wasn't looking at the man. And I
You,
can't,
you
I
turned
can't
away by
accuse-
then.
yeah, I can't accuse him of something without seeing it for my eyes. I felt it, but I didn't see it.
Okay, you said,
And it was a lot of wood on the trailer at that time.
you said he struck you twice, once on the back and
Yeah,
once on the.
I was hit. Yeah, I was hit right here and in the back of the head, but it may have rolled.
What part?
It was the same side, and when it come off my shoulder here,
Was it,
just instantaneously like that.
was it the working end of the shovel or the handle?
It was working in. The handle wasn't cut.
Did you get cut or scratched?
No, it was it's done healed up. They glued it up at the hospital, but it didn't do much but leave a knot. It's got like a swelled up knot or something on it. But all that's gonna heal over time.
Hey, Mr. Sullivan,
Yes.
what was his reaction, or what was your reaction after he hit you with a shovel? What was said then?
I told him I was going to the car. And I went to the car, got in the car, and I headed out.
Did he make a comment such as "that's what you get" or "I'm sorry"? Or
No, nothing like that.
I got a
Like I
question.
said,
I got a question for Aaron. Can I ask Aaron a question?
Sure.
Aaron, when the phone dropped, did you hear any more voices or anything like that? Any more arguing or
I
words?
could not. All I heard was just kind of like, sounded like the phone was tumbling, almost like you dropped it downstairs is what it kind of reminded me of.
Okay.
Any other council members have questions for this witness?
have you had any other altercations with Mr. Scruggs?
No, me and him was, and as far as I'm concerned, still good friends. I mean, things happen. I mean, I hold no anger or nothing towards him. I mean, I call him a brother for a reason.
Mr. Sullivan, I thought in your write-up that you wrote in your handwriting, or maybe it was Mr. Scruggs, it stated that you were coming toward him.
Yeah, I
And
did not. I did not.
have you had any contact with him since this incident?
No, ma'am.
Not by verbal or
No, ma'am.
phone or text or anything?
No, ma'am.
So I know you just answered Ms. Carter's question, but I'm gonna ask you again for my sake, that you haven't contacted Mr. Scruggs by text and recanted your story?
No.
Okay.
Any other questions before we go to the next witness? All right, Mr. Scruggs, it's your turn. Got to unmute your microphone. I got it for you.
How it happened here was me and TJ was putting the boards in the trailer up there at the shop like the boss asked us to do. Aaron and Billy come back over there. And Billy walked over there just how usually people does to see what we was doing. And TJ was trying to drill a hole in the dang trailer because we was putting new bolts in the front of it. And the drill, because didn't have teeth on the top of the bit that goes in the drill, so he got mad, slammed the dang drill down on the trailer. And Billy told him, he said, "Don't throw that drill like that because that's the only one we have." TJ said, "Screw it. It's effing junk anyways." Then they had their words and stuff, and Billy said, well, move and I'll do it. And TJ said, all right, big boy, here, you think you can do it? So I got the drill while they was having the words back and forth, and I went ahead and done the drilling and stuff and all that. Then I drilled the hole, walked over there and was talking to Billy because he went over there and got in the truck with Aaron. And we talked for a few minutes, and Aaron and Billy said they had to go. He had to go do something. So I walked back over to TJ, and he was still in his dang attitude and stuff. And he just kept on and on and on. And I said, well, you probably gonna get in trouble for throwing that drill like that. Billy will probably tell. And well, TJ said, well, I'll tell too that he's been smoking dope and stuff. I said, well, all right, do what you want to do. And I said, that's consider you a dang rat. And it just kept on and on and on. He called me some names and all this. And I was standing on the trailer and he was down there, and words just kept on and on. And I know something was about to happen. That's when I called Aaron, Billy, because he was with Aaron, and said, y'all come back up here. So he said he's on the way, and I told TJ, because he kept calling me names that I do not like. And I said, just go home. He said, you can't tell me what to do. You're not no dang boss. And he called me the names again. And it was like he was coming towards me because I was on the trailer. So when he was walking, I just shoved him, and I went off the side of the rail. And he got back up and all that. And he just kept on. And he was piddling with his pocket. And he always brags about having a dang knife. So I grabbed the shovel back at the truck. I said, if you do not get the hell away from me, I'm going to hit you with a shovel. And it just kept on. And finally he was walking off, and I seen Aaron and them coming up to the gate. So I threw the shovel in the back of the truck. And he's telling everybody hit him with the shovel. The shovel has black rock on it from the day before we was using it. And I weigh 300 pounds. If I hit him with a shovel, it's going to do more than put a dang little scratch on your arm.
Anybody got any questions for Mr. Scruggs?
Mr. Scruggs, you said the shovel, you said that you didn't hit him with a shovel. Is that correct?
No, sir. I never hit him with the shovel.
So how did the shovel hit him?
Well, I don't know if the shovel did hit him, like I'm trying to explain. If he was hit with that shovel by me weighing 300 pounds, it would have done some more damage to his arm than he's saying, because when he fell on the ground, he might have got the scratch when he went over the wood. And the shovel still has the black rock on it right now. And it's a flat shovel. It's going to cut you more than what he got. And I've got text messages from him. And like he told y'all, he has not no contact with me. He's telling y'all Phil, because he come to my house the next day I got out of jail and come up here and was talking. And my wife asked him to please leave because I am not supposed to have no contact with him. And we have random messages here that I can print off that he's wanting me to change the story and say that he tripped over the wood and all this, where it's an accident because he has filed for workers' comp.
So there was not a witness that seen that you didn't hit him with a shovel.
No, sir. No, only person was at that shop that day was me and TJ because Aaron and Billy left.
So he sent you a text and recanted the story. So that's not the way it happened.
Yes, sir. I have the text saved on my phone, and I think I sent them to Aaron.
Aaron, do you have those texts?
Yes, sir, I do.
You have them right there with you where you can read them to us?
Yes, let me click over here.
As Mr. Sullivan left the meeting?
It appears either voluntarily or non-voluntarily. Mr. Bradley, is he still,
He's not on, and apparently he's not. Now, we went from 11 participants to 10, so I don't know if his phone went dead or what. That sometimes happens to people.
All
We'll
right,
see if he comes back home.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
All right, yeah, it's because I'm on my text messages. It says if he tells them he fell over the wood, then it's an accident and they can't charge him. And he says did find out it's the city pressing charges, but I left my number for the DA that gets the case to call. He says we get it dropped one way or another. And then JR replied, okay, I hope we can. And then TJ replied back, we are going to it may be July 15th, but it's getting dropped. We are brothers above all. And that was the last I got.
We haven't.
Okay.
Okay, can y'all see me now?
Yes.
Mr. Sizemore, one question I have, there was a mention made of drugs. You said all 3 employees were tested for drugs.
Yes, sir.
What was the result of that?
As far as I know, negative. They usually don't call us and let us know unless it's a positive.
Okay, thank you.
Those were all negative.
Okay.
Aaron, has Mr. Sullivan contacted you since this and changed his story to you?
He's not changed his story, but he has said that he didn't want to press charges, that it was just guys losing their temper, and that he didn't want JR to lose his job, and that he didn't want JR to get put in jail and all these things, and that he did say that he would do whatever he had to do to get it fixed. But as far as changing his story, I've tried my not to talk about it because I didn't want to say anything that was going to make things harder on the whole situation. So I've tried not to talk to either one of them about it anytime that I've spoke with either one of them.
All right.
Mr. Scruggs,
Yes, sir.
have y'all had any problems before?
Over some wheels a couple years ago, we had some words over that.
That was before either one of you worked for the city, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Scruggs,
Yes, sir.
the time when he said that he was hit by a shovel, was did he fall over something?
The wood was stacked up right next to the trailer because it was the old wood and we had some on it. Because I was on the rail when I pushed him, and I guess he stumbled over the wood because I didn't even have the shovel in my hand at that time when I pushed him. When he got back up and was piddling his pockets, when I got the shovel off the back of the truck.
So did he fall from your pushing him?
I guess.
Did he have any reaction when he did he say, why did you hit me with a shovel, or was that mentioned?
No, nothing was mentioned about the shovel. Because I'm pretty sure Aaron and them, when the phone, when I went offside the trailers, when I dropped the phone, and I think Aaron and them was right there in front of the shop and stuff right then.
Yeah, Mr. Scruggs. Mr. Scruggs, did you think you mentioned a knife earlier? Did you think he's reaching in his pocket, that he might be aimed to do you bodily harm?
Any man reaches in their pocket when he's always talking about it, you better be looking out for something.
When you pushed him, Mr. Scruggs, was he aggressively coming towards you?
Yes, he was coming towards me like he was ready to fight, and I just got the first of it and got him away from me. Then when he got back up, like he's saying, he was piddling in his pocket, grabbed that shovel off the back of Meadho's truck because it was hooked to the trailer that day when we was putting the boards on it. If it was something else on the back of that truck I could have got easier than that shovel, I would have had that instead of a shovel where I would have had a weapon, because I know when he was piddling in his pocket, he was going for his knife or something.
Mr. Scruggs, you picked up the shovel because he was walking towards you?
Yes, ma'am. When I pushed him and he went over the wood and he got back up, he was piddling in his pocket, and I seen that shovel handle there, and that's when I grabbed it because he was coming towards me messing with his pocket.
Okay.
Was this the time that you were talking to Billy on the phone?
I think I dropped the phone when I pushed him.
Okay. So you didn't have a shovel in your hand when you was talking to Billy?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
All right. I'm curious to know whether Mr. Sullivan left the meeting voluntarily or if his phone died.
Aaron, could you text him and see?
I will. I'll text him right now.
While he's doing that, I've pulled up the policy and procedure on workplace harassment for employees. It says, you want me to read it, Mr. Bradley?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
The city will not tolerate bullying, verbal or physical conduct by an employee which harasses, disrupts, or interferes with another's work performance, or which creates an intimidating, offensive, or hostile work environment. No employee or non-employee shall be allowed to harass any other employee or non-employee by exhibiting behavior, including but not limited to the following. And there is a list of harassments, but the one that applies to this would be the, well, there's verbal harassment, verbal threats toward person or property, the use of vulgar or profanity language directed toward others. Then on the physical harassment, it says any physical assault such as hitting, pushing, kicking, holding, or impeding or blocking the movement of another person. Then there's bullying and visual harassment. And then on over it says anyone determined to be responsible for threats of or actual violence or other conduct that is in violation of this policy will be subject to prompt disciplinary action up to and including termination. It doesn't say would they have to be terminated. It said could be up to and including termination. So it
Yes,
doesn't
ma'am.
really
Thank you.
say they have to automatically be terminated. You can use some other disciplinary actions.
And that's what this council has to decide. And since both of these individuals have been able to tell their side of the story, you might want to, I don't know if Mr. Sizemore has a recommendation, or if he just wants to leave it up to the council. Mr. Sizemore, were you able to contact Mr. Sullivan?
He has not messaged me back.
Do you have a recommendation? Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
Excuse me, I messaged him also, and he is not even recognizing the messages coming in.
So his phone, I guess, could be dead.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear Mr. Sizemore's recommendation.
Pardon. I'm sorry.
I'd like to hear what your recommendation is to deal with the two employees.
Well, it'd be my recommendation, as far as TJ is concerned, I really feel like that he needs to be terminated. For one, you know, abusing our equipment like that. And I mean, he hasn't even been here 90 days. And then it's going to be hard to be able to bring somebody back like that with such a short temper that is really, you know, has already had an altercation with 2 people in one day. And I just don't think, I think it would be toxic to our workplace to bring him back. As far as JR is concerned, I really don't think that he should be fired. In my opinion, I feel like just from knowing both of them and from kind of being there that day and getting the feel of the atmosphere of the day that it happened, I just don't see JR attacking somebody like that. I feel like, you know, it was more of a defensive thing instead of, regardless of whether he hit him with a shovel, nobody will ever know but those 2. But I do trust JR a little better than I do TJ because he's known to tell a little bit of a story every once in a while. As far as that goes, I really don't think that he was hit with the shovel. In my opinion, I feel more like he would have slipped. You know, maybe when JR shoved him, he tripped over the wood pile, slipped, tried to catch his arm, and that might have been what caused the injury to his arm. But in my opinion, I don't feel like he needs to be fired for this.
Mr. Sizemore, you got those text messages. Are you confident that those text messages you read were actually sent by Mr. Sullivan?
Yes, they have his picture beside of him from Facebook Messenger.
Okay, we didn't state this. Now, Mr. Sullivan is a part-time employee, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
He hasn't served his 90-day probationary period or anything.
Correct.
Is Mr. Scruggs Jr., he's a full-time employee, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And how long has he been with the city?
I'm not exactly sure, but
okay, that's okay.
Over 6 months.
Have you had any other problems with Mr. Scruggs before?
No, ma'am. I've never had an issue with him. He's always here on time. He does anything I ask him to do. He gets along with everybody that we've worked with. I've never had any issues with him. Anytime I've told him to do something or asked him to do it, he's done it. And most of the time he does stuff without me having to ask him.
Okay, thanks.
Now, if Mr. Sullivan's not fulfilled his probation, then we don't have to terminate him, do we? He just let him go, right?
Well, that's a termination, but because of the way the charters, the way the policies and procedures are written, it doesn't give anybody else the authority to make that decision but the council.
Okay, I think that's.
But you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
His rights are very limited as a probationary employee.
Yeah. All right.
Can I ask something real quick? I want to verify something for just a moment. So, Mr. Scruggs, you do admit to saying you did shove him. You did push him.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think one thing that Mr. Sizemore, I think the council, they've heard your recommendation about Mr. Sullivan. What punishment do you recommend, if any, for Mr. Scruggs?
I would leave that to the council. As far as I go, I personally, I wouldn't punish him because I feel like he was doing it as defensively. And I mean, I know if I was in the same situation, I don't know that I would shoved him myself. If somebody's coming after me, I tend to not wait for them to make the first move, so to speak. So that's all I can say from my aspect is I'm glad it wasn't me in JR's position, because if he was coming after me, I wouldn't have just shoved him. And I don't feel like that somebody that's trying to defend themselves should be punished for that.
He talks about this.
That and also I have gotten a text message or a call about every day, if not 2 or 3 times a day, because he's scared to death he's going to lose his job. So I think just the sheer torture of not knowing for however long this has been, a week and a half now, whether he's going to be able to keep his job or not has been a pretty good punishment for him as far as that goes, because I know his nerves have been pretty shot.
At this point, it's time for the council. If you don't have any more questions for the council to deliberate, I would suggest you first deal with Mr. Sullivan since he spoke first.
Yeah, I move we take the Aaron's recommendation and terminate him.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept the supervisor's recommendations to terminate Thomas Sullivan. I believe Mr. Bennell made that motion, and was that Mr. Brown that seconded?
Is there any discussion?
Any other questions? Ms. Keisha, if you'll call the roll.
Carter,
I couldn't hear what she said.
Asking your vote.
I vote yes to terminate him.
Lee,
Yes.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bennell.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. We're now open for another motion on the second employee.
I think in Mr. Scruggs' situation here, he's been charged with a serious charge, and I think the courts could accidentally or could make that call for us. If he's found guilty of that charge, then we definitely will have to let him go. But for right now, I think we need to bring him back to work and let him and let the courts decide on the charge. But I do think there should be some kind of something written up and put in this file.
There, in the policies and procedures manual, we have 5 different disciplinary actions we can take. And one of them is written reprimand that can be put to his file. If I'm with Mr. Leaf, then I feel that maybe that's the route we should go at the moment.
I'm gonna put that in the form of a motion to bring him back to work and put some kind of written reprimand in his file. And then the court could decide whether we have to take further actions or not.
I second that.
Mr. Scruggs.
Yes,
Can I-
sir.
Can I still ask a question, Mr. Bradley, to Mr. Scruggs?
Sure, you can ask the question.
So where are we at now with your, with the charges pending against you?
I go to court July 15th.
Okay.
Okay, who pressed those charges? Did our police officers or did Mr. Sullivan?
I really don't know who done it.
Our officers did, Fredo. I think,
Okay.
for sure.
And exactly what are you being charged with?
Aggravated assault.
Mr. Leith, you want him to come back to work like tomorrow? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, as soon as possible.
If I could speak on the charging part. When I talked to Officer Whitty that day, he said that he spoke with the DA and the DA said that he had to be charged, is what Officer Whitty told me. So I don't think it was actually our officers that charged him. If they, as far as on their own accord, if they did, it was under the recommendations of the DA.
From what I've heard here tonight, I really don't think much will come from this in the court system. I just don't really think it will, but we'll see.
The biggest thing for me is that this is Mr. Scruggs' word against Mr. Sullivan's word. No witnesses were there, and we're not for sure whether or not he actually got hit by a shovel or if it was a result of him being pushed. So, and if the push was for self-defense, then it may be warranted for his actions.
Is anyone else getting this roar, or is it just me?
Yes.
It's
Yes.
coming from Mr. Bradley. There it is.
Yeah.
Good call. Okay, let's see, Councilman Leaf made the motion, Councilwoman Wilkerson seconded. As I understand it, is to allow the court system to go ahead and handle their part of that side. But as far as the employment and disciplinary side for the city of Westmoreland, the motion is to put Mr. Scruggs back to work as soon as possible. And that he will have some kind of a written reprimand placed in his file. And I'm guessing that we're going to revisit this. I mean, I don't know if it even has to be revisited after July 15th or not. So
Only if he's convicted of a felony, which he's charged with. If it gets thrown out or gets reduced to a misdemeanor, we won't have to revisit it, I don't think.
okay, so we'll leave that option open. And any other discussion? Okay, Ms. Keisha, if you will call the roll, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Fennel,
Unmute, Tony.
Bennell,
Yes, 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 yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Leaf,
Yes.
Wilkerson.
yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Mr. Scruggs, we'll expect to see you back at work in the morning.
Yes, sir.
Okay, moving on to the next item on our agenda is the mayor's mileage for the last quarter.
I make a motion to pay the mayor's mileage of $514.62 for 3 months.
Second,
Have a motion by Councilwoman Carter and a second by Councilman Bendel to pay the mayor's mileage. Might note that had the virus not hit, that would have been probably the most miles traveled because March was going to be a very, very busy month. There was lots of hearings in Nashville, so I don't know if those will be rescheduled, and if they are, they'll probably be on into to the next budget year. So any other questions? Hearing none, Ms. Keisha?
Carter,
Yes.
Leaf,
Yes.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bennell.
yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda is first reading of ordinance 042020-2, policy and procedures amendment. I might ask the question before we get the motion on that. I know that Chief Flatt was interested in putting something in the new policy. Ms. Keisha, did he get that done before the policy was written? He wanted to extend the period for police officers that was discussed at the work study before the COVID-19.
No, he did not get anything to me.
Okay, then we will be voting on it as is.
Have we got the ordinance
I
written up
don't
here?
think we have that.
No.
Is that what you was wanting to put in there, Doug, about leaves? So I don't know what this is.
Yes, Doug was wanting to add about the leaves. And I think he was going to get something over to Mr. Bradley to put in form of ordinance, but I've not seen anything.
Yes, we're gonna probably pick that back up in the next work session about the investigative leave section to add it, but it was not on the agenda for tonight. No.
Okay, motion to defer.
Make a motion that we defer the first reading of this ordinance to next month.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilwoman Wilkerson and a second by Councilman Leaf to defer. I'll just say all in favor, say aye on that because there's no discussion.
Ah,
Any opposed? Okay, we'll defer that to our next work study or the next meeting when we have that ordinance.
Mayor, you skipped one item. I don't know if that was intentional or not.
No, I was getting ready to go back to that. I just
Okay.
realized that I had skipped it. This is one that Mr. Bradley has put on the agenda, temporary hiring during the state of emergency. John, I'll let you speak to that if you want to.
Well, the question was, we were out two public works employees for the last week and a half, and I just wondered if you would want to at least allow the mayor to make a temporary appointment until the next council meeting. You meet every 2 weeks, but you want to be sure your garbage is picked up. That's all it would be. You'd still have to ratify his actions at the next meeting. But with these times, you never know who's going to be coming and who's not going to be able to come to work. I just thought he needs a little flexibility. We shouldn't have to call a special council meeting every time somebody quits.
Oh, I'll agree with that. I thought all the time he's got the power to put somebody on temporary anyway, but I'm good with that as long as, Aaron or whoever's wanting to be hired, whatever department that the supervisor recommends that person.
Yes, I would suggest you make that a motion, let the council actually vote on it, because the policies don't really allow that right now as I've read it. And so this will clear that up and we can look at it again later once we're out of this situation.
Okay. I'll make the motion to allow temporary hiring by the mayor on the recommendation of the department head during this pandemic state of emergency that we're in.
A second. Yep.
Sound like I had 2 seconds. I think that Ms. Wilkerson was the one that came in and the Councilman Leaf made the motion. Give the mayor temporary hiring authority with the department heads recommendations during this pandemic. Other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will interject that according to our policies and procedures that are in effect now, that was rewritten to be in line with the charter, says that I can put the police chief, the recorder, the treasurer, the attorney, and the judge in for a temporary basis until the council can ratify it. And that is the only positions that I can replace per our policies now, so.
This motion makes it clear that you can make those appointments now.
Yes, sir.
And I'd like to recommend, make sure that the department head was, whoever you're going to recommend, the department head would be in favor of that particular person before you brought them in.
No doubt.
Mr. Bradley, should we also add a timeline for such temporary appointment, or is that necessary?
I did that.
Well, it'd be till the next council meeting.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. I know in the policy procedures manual, it mentions 90 days, but in this case, I know what we're doing. We're doing this for a purpose, for a specific reason.
It's during the state of emergency, the way I understand it.
Okay.
Okay, and hopefully that will end very soon. So.
Yes.
Let's hope so.
Okay, with that, Ms. Keisha, if you'll call the vote.
Carter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Bennell,
Yes.
Leith,
Yes.
Wilkerson.
Yes.
Let the record show that the motion carries unanimously. Our next item on the agenda is Resolution R042020-1, posting city announcements on the city's page and Facebook page and YouTube. You have a copy of that resolution in front of you.
I'll make a motion to pass resolution R-042020-01.
We have a motion by Councilman Leith to pass the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a second by Councilman Bentel. We're open for discussion.
Mr. Mayor, I thought that we put this on the agenda so we could straighten out the times of the meetings. Because we passed a resolution that said we're going to meet at 7. So this is supposed to amend resolution 042020-1 about the meeting times. I'm looking at the resolution. It's a resolution setting dates for the meetings of the Westmoreland City Council. I don't see anything in here about Facebook or anything else.
Okay, but the resolution, it basically just says that at the bottom of the resolution, which I'm assuming, but I thought that you wrote this, so it could just be during the pandemic what we're doing these meetings.
This resolution was put back on the agenda, if it's the one that Keisha sent me, so that we could amend it to change 7 p.m. to 4 p.m. That's all we're doing.
Now,
Okay.
this is
Yeah,
different.
We did that one.
This is a different resolution, Mr. Bradley. Listen here is to like if the mayor makes an announcement about the state of emergency, that it goes to our Facebook page first. It's
Okay.
posted there first before it's released. If it's shared from there to another page, then that's good, but it goes there first. So it's official.
I see where the confusion may be the fact that I do think we did the resolution last time and it was 042020-01 to change it to 4 o'clock. We voted on that one last time. This one, I believe, should be -02.
That is correct.
That's where we're getting the confusion.
That will work if we'll make that other resolution, because the resolution that was passed in January called for all the meetings to be at 7. At the last meeting, you amended that, but it really needs to be done in the form of an amendment to this resolution, so we don't have to do any more special meetings. That way, in the future, when you have your 4 o'clock meetings, you can add things to the agenda, which you can't do with a special meeting. That's all we're trying to do, make that clear.
Okay, so I've got to interject here. If this is because I done an announcement to our citizens, what objection would you have from me putting that out on being I don't have Facebook, so I could use somebody else's page for them to put it out before it goes out to the public? I mean, I don't mind being open to listening to why you want it changed, but I just like to hear the reason.
The reason being, the first one, I seen it because it came out on our city Facebook page. I seen it right off the bat. But the second one, it was 3-4 days before I even knew it was out there, because I've not got access to that person's page. And it's still not on our city Facebook page where I can see it there. There's different people that are blocked from some of those other pages. And I didn't know about it, and probably wouldn't have known about it if somebody hadn't asked me about it.
Okay, I did both of them the same, so there was no difference from one for the other.
I mean, the one that I can see is on city Facebook page, is on city page, and I can see that one fine. But the second one's not.
I thought they were both on the city Facebook page.
No, sir. So I just think it to make it official that it comes from the city, that it's first put on the city Facebook page, and then if somebody wants to share it from there, then they can.
Okay, my purpose was to get messages out to the citizens. So
Right.
if you actually want me not to talk to the citizens,
No, sir, I'm not
I
saying
can't
that.
get to the city Facebook page. I don't have access to it.
I'm not saying that, but Keisha, you get it to Keisha and she can get it on there. Keisha can get it on there.
Okay, well, now I know what the reason why that the resolution was written. So I'll call for the vote. Ms. Keisha?
Well, I'm not through discussing. Can I discuss anything?
Call for the vote. Question.
Okay. Carry on.
Oh, wait. So we can't, can I ask something? I'm confused. I'll just say, what are we wanting to be posted? I thought we do post our stuff to our Facebook page.
Can I talk since she talked?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah, I didn't know about this for when you made this announcement for at least 24 hours, because I don't go to those sites. Only reason that I knew your second one, at least, somebody had shared it and I saw it because I'm friends of theirs, but I'm not friends of some of these others. I don't go to some of these sites that we have on a regular basis. So I think that's what David's trying to say is use our platform first and then put it wherever it needs to go, but it needs to originate from the city.
Yes, that's what I'm trying to accomplish here, because like I said, it took 3 or 4 days before I even noted, because I don't visit.
Like I said, well, Mr. Chandler, you go ahead. You had a question.
Well, I was just, I thought everything I've seen reposted, I will just state, I thought it did come from the city of Westmoreland. It was always somebody sharing that post. So I'm kind of confused on what the issue is.
The issue is, Chandra, it should originate from city Facebook page to begin with. And then if some other page or person gets it, they get it from there. Because like I said, I don't know if I'd known about it now if somebody hadn't asked me about it, because I don't see where the page where it originated. I'm blocked from some of those pages and I don't follow them pages.
So what is it that you're saying you didn't see?
The last public announcement that Mr. Mayor made. I've seen it now because somebody brought it to my attention, but it was like 3 or 4 days later.
Okay.
I've looked, if I could speak, Mayor, I've looked at the resolution. I just read it, and what it appears to say is, just so there's no confusion about what we're doing here, it says that if there's going to be a notice come out from the mayor's office or from the city, maybe it's from the city council, then it needs to be put on the city's Facebook page and the city's YouTube page before it's published any other way. So they're saying that, instead of, if, for example, if you're going to make a public announcement, they just felt that that's where it ought to be put first. You can put it anywhere else you want at the same time, but they're just saying they shouldn't find that out days later. Is that it?
Yes, that's it.
That was what you're trying to accomplish, Mr. Lewis?
Right.
Yes, yes.
And as far as I knew, it was on the city's Facebook page. It was all shared at the same time, so.
And
I don't
Keisha,
have Facebook, so I can't do it, and if folks don't want to come in and help me out with it, and I think it was a weekend, so Keisha was not in the office, so I guess there will be no further announcements from the mayor's office.
That's not what
Mayor, I
I'm
don't
trying
think
to accomplish.
they're not saying no announcement. They're just saying let Keisha know so she can put it on Facebook. Because she manages the city's Facebook account. So is that correct, Keisha?
That's correct.
Okay. We'll call for the vote.
Bennell,
Yes.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Leith,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Carter.
Yes.
Let the motion reflect that record reflect the motion carries unanimously. Next item will be probationary period for Zach Culberson. What happened with Zach, even though he left full-time employment, he had been working with the city doing the traffic classes and traffic school for court. And he'd still been on the payroll. And when we hired him back full-time, he was requesting to know if he still had to serve out that full 90-day probationary period before he was paid for the holiday. And we didn't know the answer to that, so we brought it to the council.
Mr. Mayor, I move we waive the probationary period for Zach Culberson.
I'll second it.
We have a motion by Councilman Benzel, a second by Councilman Leith to waive the probationary period for Zach Culberson. Any discussion?
It normally makes sense when an employee leaves and then comes back, that a 90-day probationary period gets waived. It happens in a lot of other organizations that I know of. But my question is what was the time length between when he left to, I think he went to Robertson County, it says, and then he came back. What was that time length? Do we know, Keisha? Was it about 2 months or was it 3?
Yeah, I think it was like 3 or 4 maybe, but he was still, working part-time doing traffic school and that sort of thing as well.
So he was coming in once. What does that require? Once
Like once a month.
okay.
And plus, I think he had to come in for court cases and things like that also.
That's correct.
Okay, other discussion? Okay, we'll call for the vote.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Leith,
Yes.
Bennell.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously. Next item on the agenda is the City Hall security system. That's all been taken care of. Keisha, is it working all right now?
It is. It's no longer beeping.
Very good. So I don't see that any action needs to be taken.
Well, let me understand if I can. So do we have a new system or do we just stop the beeping?
No, we have a new system.
That's all I want to know. Good. Did you get the where you can access it remotely?
He talked about that, but no one set it up yet. But he said there is an app where we can do it from our phones.
Well, if you get a false alarm at 2 o'clock in the morning, I really don't want you to have to come in. If the police tell you everything's okay, you should be able to go in and clear the alarm. So I would recommend you add that to that. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and as my understanding, Ms. Keisha, that will take an authorization letter from the mayor. So if you want to type that up, I'll sign it and we can get it to prevent you.
Okay.
So do we need to strike this off the agenda or what are we doing?
Yes, it's already been taken care of. I don't know how it got on the agenda because I was working on it and taking care of it, and it fell within repairs. So, and that's what happened. We had a couple of cards that were outdated, and they just installed new cards. That was one of the first wireless systems that came out, and it was state of the art at that time, but no longer.
So you want me to make a motion to defer this?
There's nothing to defer. It's taken care of. It's already done.
Well, I understand that, but it's on the agenda. If somebody sees it on the agenda later on down the years, they'll know what action took place.
Okay, go ahead and make your motion.
I'll make a motion to defer the city hall security system.
Do we have a second?
But it must have been a minute ago.
Did I miss the second?
Mayor, why don't you just make an announcement that that item's been taken care of and you're removing it from the agenda?
That'd be all right too.
That'll show up in the minutes that way. That's better.
Yes.
Let that happen, Keisha.
Yes, sir.
Okay, the next item is the wastewater treatment plant security system. I'm getting information on that as well as the police department and city hall. So and as well as the building that we're going to be renaming shortly. So all of those will be covered, and that's something we'll probably look at putting into next year's budget. So I do have reservations about putting a new system into the wastewater treatment plant because we're going to be tearing that plant down. So honestly, I don't know why we want to put a system in and then just take it back out. But
Mr. Mayor, I thought there was already a security system down there.
There is one, and we have cameras there, and it's I guess it has the recording device and everything. As a matter of fact, it was installed while you were the recorder. Yes. I guess it was part of the disaster grant that came in. I don't know if it was or not. So
no, it was recommendation by the police department. I recall, I think, because of all the equipment and stuff that's at the sewer plant. We didn't have any security down there at all, to my knowledge. And that's when that security system was put in. So I don't know why it's on the agenda, what it's referring to. Is it still active as of now?
Yes, we had it repaired about 6 months ago. We had to have some repairs done to it. We lost the camera, I believe what the problem was, and we had it replaced, and it's running okay. So I didn't put it on the agenda. So I don't know.
Mr. Mayor, I put it on there myself, and I was not wanting to replace anything down there because I know we're going to be moving and all that. What I wanted, my understanding that I asked questions like, who actually sees the cameras? If somebody went down, who's going to see it? And I didn't get a warm, good feeling that anybody would see anybody if they fell down. Now I know if it's two people there, it's one thing, but if one person was there and they went down, that's another thing. So what I was wanting to do, and I talked to the company also on the cameras, that he said that he could give all the council access to the cameras. He could put them all on there if they want them. There won't be a service charge for $75. So that's what I wanted, just to have access for more sets of eyes on the cameras down at the waste treatment plant.
Okay, but the mayor has access now. I'm not sure why the council would want to be watching. If we were going to do anything, what Preventia suggested with all of our systems, is that we send it to the cloud, and then the cloud, depending on how much money we want to spend, the cloud would monitor it. They do not offer a 24-hour monitoring service at this time, because that was what I thought was, and that may be why the state has actually asked us. They've actually proposed to us in the past that we need 3 people at that plant. You know, it'd be a council decision if you wanted to spend the wages to go ahead and put 3 people there, so that you could have 2 there at all times. In the past, we got down to where we only had 1 person at a time, and that's what got us into trouble. So I make a recommendation that you defer this and talk about it when we get to a work study.
Okay, I move we defer it.
I'll second that.
I have a motion by Councilman Bennell and a second by Councilman Brown to defer the wastewater treatment plant security system. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, because there was no other discussion on it, we'll do that. The last item on the agenda is the water bill deferral. Did everyone receive the email from TAUD discussing everything about the deferrals?
I can't say I remember.
Who is it
Anybody
from?
else?
Keisha was going to send it out to everybody. It's a TAUD COVID-19 update about suspension of utility service terminations for non-payment. Right
I
now,
did receive that email.
We got it on April 14th.
it kind of explained everything. Right now, we, at our last meeting, Councilman Leaf made the motion to defer cutoffs and late fees, anything like that, until April the 24th. So as the utility commission now for the city, we need to make a recommendation or pass some kind of a motion as to how we're going to proceed.
Since I didn't see the letter, I can't recommend. So what did the letter say?
Let me send it to you right quick.
Well, all y'all have seen it, so I trust whatever y'all want to do. Is it coming to my email, Mayor?
Yes, it is. It should be on the way.
Can we kind of discuss right here? Is this discussion time? Do I need to
guess
make a
we
motion?
can get a motion and a second, and then discuss it or vote it down.
Okay. I make a motion that we defer until May 31st. So we defer the water bills until May 31st. I don't know how I need to say that exactly. Or however.
Are you saying
You
defer
make it-
water bills or defer cutoffs?
Sorry. Okay. I take back my motion, I guess. I make a motion that we defer water cutoffs until May 31st. Y'all go from there.
Are you going to include late fees in that? The previous motion waived late fees and cutoffs until April 24th. Is that the same thing you want to do till May 31st?
Yes. Do I need to reword that?
Okay,
I'll second.
I'm adding it in.
Okay.
Who made the second?
I did.
Okay, Mr. Bennell? Okay, we're open for discussion on it. Did you receive your email?
Yes, sir, I did.
I think the email, I mean, it kind of left it up to each individual municipality, didn't it? On the action that we were to take.
Miss Carter, I believe, according to the letter that we received, it's pretty cut and dry. According to this letter, it mentions that on the Tennessee Public Utility Commission issued an order which prohibits public utilities regulated by TPUC from disconnecting natural gas, electric, water, or wastewater service to any customer for reason of non-payment during the course of Governor Bill Lee's March 12th, 2020 declaration of a public health emergency related to the COVID-19 virus. So according to this, we have to align our fee, our termination, or to not terminate services with this document. Is that
Okay.
correct, Mr. Bradley? Or does
Yes,
everybody agree?
I agree with that. And so, I mean, I think it's a simple enough matter. I think the board wants to do this, so I
Right.
would, I'd just move on and vote on it.
Okay, as far as I know, right now, we only have one person that is in serious trouble with their bill. They had a leak and we're working with them. The first month, they obviously didn't get the message. It was left on their door, or they didn't get it taken care of. So they got the bill the second month, and it's pretty tremendous. It's about $1,200. So we're going to do the adjustment on the highest one, and I'm pretty sure that they will be asking to come to the council in the future to ask for another adjustment. But I informed them that the council has not given many adjustments in the past, so not to expect one. But we were willing to set up a payment plan for them and help them out. Any other discussion? Ms. Keisha?
Bennell,
Yes.
Wilkerson,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Brown,
Yes.
Leith.
Yes.
Let the record reflect that the motion carries unanimously. Unless I've missed anything, that is everything on our agenda. So, Mr. Bradley, we want to say thank you for all of your effort that you and Ms. Keisha have put into getting this meeting going, and Ms. Tina Martin for assisting in that on that end. And hopefully very, very soon, we're going to be able to get back to normal here, maybe even in our May, first week of May work study. So we'll see what happens. Everyone have a good evening, and may God bless, and you be safe and take care.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.